Everyman Podcast.
Everyman.
Another week, another pod.
Yeah, bro.
Daryl Campbell, what's happening, bro?
Man, I'll tell you what's happening. You know, after I got over my deep depression of no longer having 4th of July due. You know, it was a deep thing. You know what I mean? But
yeah, rest in peace, Freedom Dew. Till next year.
Thank you to the Mountain Dew gods for creating that substance that fuels the Everyman. We're not sponsored, but I'm just saying, if you ever wanted to swing our way,
PepsiCo. Listen to your boys.
You know, we do frequent that.
I know we're slinging bottles. I know firsthand that our listeners are purchasing your products hand over fist due to our placement and discussions
hand over feet too
of the great Dew. So yes, shout out to the Freedom Dew. Rest in peace. May your blue sugary sweetness be remembered and never forgotten. And we hope that you return next year.
Yes, we do. Yeah.
So we hope everybody had a great 4th of July. Last week we had Mike Gowan on the show. And it was an awesome episode. Mm-hmm. He's a great dude, classic everyman, and he really put a smile on my face when I was listening back to that episode. So thank you, Mike, for that.
Thanks, Mike.
And look forward to keeping an eye on what you're up to and having you back on the show. A couple other little business notes. I'd like to announce that we are now officially on Google Play, Stitcher, and iHeartRadio. Yeah. So if you're listening to this right now, the Everyman Podcast on SoundCloud, or you're checking it out on Apple Podcasts, and you just need another option, or maybe you've got an Android device, you got a Google Home speaker, all you got to do is search the Everyman Podcast on any of those platforms, and now you can get us there. So we're now anywhere that podcasts are available: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, and soon we will be transcribing and sending out a weekly mailer of our episodes. So look forward to that. That's going to be hot stuff.
So what you're saying, Brother Jay, is that we are now officially, right?
Officially,
the MacGyver of podcasts.
Yeah, we're going to be the first podcast to go on paper.
Yeah. That's it, man. I mean, who's doing that?
Yeah, no one. Not yet, but we're doing it. Yeah. So good luck.
That's it.
This week on the show, we have an awesome interview on deck. Mr. Matt Griebel. Matt is he's a law enforcement officer out in the Chicagoland area. And by the way, let me just say, Chicagoland is a great name, great nickname for your home region, bro.
Well, I mean, you have that, and then you have Chi-Town. That's also
I like calling it Chi-Chi.
It's like Goku's wife on Dragon Ball Z.
Oh, is her name Chi-Chi?
Yeah, it's Chi-Chi.
Yeah, my boy Sakura. Shout out to my Polish prince. He's out in Chi-Chi right now, holding it down. Soon to be, he's actually moving to Hawaii. Actually,
whoa!
So we'll be Everyman Universe will be all over the place. He's a gentleman that designed these wonderful Everyman Podcast shirts, which are available on our Facebook page for $19.99.
Wearing it right now.
Daryl is wearing one as we speak.
5X.
He got a custom one-off tablecloth size.
With shirt holes in it, so I can stick my arms through.
They had to use 2 screens for the logo on the front.
That's it, bro.
Yeah. But so Matt Griebel, he's a gentleman that you played high school ball with, and you guys competed against each other.
Absolutely.
And Matt tells us some awesome story about what it was like having to deal with the man of your stature and caliber on the football field in high school. Yeah. Spoiler alert: Daryl was a handful.
Yes, I was, literally.
2 hands, I'm sure.
3.
If you got him.
Yeah, if you got other hands.
If you got him. And then Matt spent some time in the NFL with the Indianapolis Colts. And he is currently a head linesman in the Missouri Valley Football Conference Division I.
Line judge, man.
That's awesome. He's responsible for the whole line of scrimmage. And he really gives us an inside look on what officiating at the professional level, not obviously college football is not professional football, but the men and women that are involved in the NCAA absolutely are professionals, and what his ambitions are with that. And also he is an actor. Yeah. He's been on Chicago PD as a handsome background double guy.
Jawline.
Yeah, it's all about the jawline. Unfortunately, you guys, couldn't see him, but you just have to take our word for it. And he's in a short film.
Two Wrongs, baby.
Which just debuted and the link for the trailer for that is going to be in the show notes. So make sure you head on over there to see that, and you can find out when it'll be a town near you on their website. And with that said, let's hit it.
Let's get it.
Joining us today on the Everyman Podcast is a great friend of the show and somebody that is absolutely in the cosmic canoe with us. His name is Matt Griebel, and he is currently a headline judge in the NCAA Division I Missouri Valley Football Conference. Ladies and gentlemen, Matt Griebel.
How you doing, guys? What's going on?
What's up, baby?
Not much, man. Happy to have you. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me here. I appreciate it. This will be fun.
Absolutely. So right off the bat, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and what are you currently doing?
Well, currently, I live in just outside of Chicago, so I live in Shorewood, Illinois. I grew up here, Lockport. DC's from the area. He knows we played against each other in high school.
Yeah.
I like to say I won a couple of those battles, but
oh, don't worry, we're gonna get into that.
I'm currently a police officer. That's my 9 to 5, and my side job is a headlinesman in the Missouri Valley Conference. So I'm in the COC, which is a consortium of the Big Ten, Missouri Valley, and MAC conferences.
That's awesome. So you've got some experience on the football field with Daryl, which of course we want to get to. So what position did you play?
When I was a jack. I played every position on the offensive line. Excuse me, but the main position was guard, center guard, that type of thing. So.
Okay. And what high school were you on? The same high school team with Daryl, or how did you guys get to playing with each other?
All right, so this is great, right? So Daryl was our scouting report. We knew that we had to double team him on every play because he was such a stud. And I don't think he knows this, but when we were playing, we had the scouting report. And we actually had some guys that were portraying him in practice. But
so what'd you do? Get two guys on put two guys together, tape them together? How'd you do that?
Yeah, exactly. One was like maybe a Ford pickup truck. So we I went to Lockport High School, and Daryl went to Thornwood, one of the Thorns, right?
Thornwood, baby.
Yeah, man, it was cool, man. We played against each other, and I'll say the one thing I remember, I still take to this day, and I talked to some of the other guys I played with. Man, no matter what was going on, Daryl had this smile on his face, and he just loved football, man. He just loved playing. I was lucky enough to be a part of an all-conference team within. He went on to Notre Dame, and I went on to a smaller Indiana school, which I think pretty much owns the state, Indiana State University, and and the rest is history. So
that's
awesome,
that's amazing, and it's been really cool for me to talk to gentlemen like yourself that know Daryl as an athlete, because I've gotten to know Daryl over the past couple of years. Working with him in conjunction at NFL Films when my band had an opportunity to provide some work there with our music, and then also with the podcast. And I can see how just tenacious and just positive he is as a partner on this. I can't imagine what it was like having to play against him when he's not trying to lift you up. He's trying to kind of fuck you up. How
about it? He was, absolutely. He was the guy that we game planned against, and it was one of these things where no matter what you did, he was going to come and give everything he had, and he wasn't going to stop, and he had this smile on his face the whole time. He was whooping your ass on the football field, and he was laughing about it. You're like, you go back. I remember going back to the huddle and talking to some of the guys, that he had just gone against, because, of course, if he went against me, it would have been a different story. Right?
Yeah, you spared him the embarrassment, I'm sure.
But some of the guys were like, I don't know what's going on over there. I says, well, listen, dude. You do what you guys got to do, man. We got to win this game. So
Yeah, we apologize for the little bit of the interruption there at the beginning. Some of the audio was breaking up. We had to go rogue. We were forced to go rogue and obtain a more portable solution for our audio, and we are now back here with a clean and handsome Matt Griebel. So we're talking about playing Daryl and having a game plan against him, and as I was saying, he's a gentleman in all aspects, but he's a warrior on the football field, I'm sure. And I would have loved to have had an opportunity to watch you guys go to battle. So talk to me a little bit about your experience getting out of high school and getting ready for college, because we've had a lot of guys on the show that have been through that experience, and I'm curious on what kind of advice you might have for a young athlete getting ready to make that jump today from high school to college.
So my background, right? I education is extremely important to me, and unfortunately, it hasn't always been that way. Growing up, it was football, and that was it, and that's what you were concentrating on. And everybody thought that's, you could be the greatest athlete in the world, and you're going to go to a major university. But you know what? You gotta back it up in the classroom. And I was lucky enough to get a scholarship. I didn't go to a mid-major school, or I didn't go to a major school. I went to a mid-major school out of high school. I signed with Illinois State, and I played down there for a year. I lettered down there, and my coaches that recruited me, and they were there from the beginning. So I kind of developed a relationship with them from the beginning. And other schools had come in, but those were the first ones there. And I was always kind of that loyal person. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't care where I was going to play football. I just wanted to play football. Nice. I wanted to get an education, and I wanted to get it paid for. I grew up in a blue-collar family. My father was a truck driver. My mother was, worked odd jobs here and there doing things. And, it was one of these things where if I didn't get a scholarship, to play football, and I'm not downplaying, our military armed forces, but I would have joined the military. I would have gone that route, because that's just, I got to be a part of a team. I got to be a part of a group of people, that have a common goal to get something done. So that's what I ended up doing. So I went to Illinois State, and then my coaches were great. Todd Berry was the head coach there, and Harold Etheridge was my offensive line coach. And, we had a great year. We won the Gateway Football Conference, which is now Missouri Valley Conference. First time that Illinois State had ever won that. And then they ended up getting, like anything, they get recruited, and they went to West Point Military Academy, and then new coaches came in, and it just didn't jive with me. So I ended up transferring to a junior college, went there, and funny story about that. When I transferred from a junior college, it's funny, like anybody that's out there that knows about transferring, when you take your freshman classes, there's a lot of classes that are just kind of fluff classes that they give you. And it kind of drives me nuts, because I transferred from Illinois State University with 7 credit hours. And it wasn't because I was, an idiot, taking underwater basket weaving. I was,
that class would probably be pretty difficult, to be honest.
Right. I was exactly. I was taking classes that were like introduction to, college life, that were mandatory for new, freshmen, that weren't transferable. So it's almost the way that they get, they end up keeping you there. You get locked in. So I ended up going to Joliet Junior College and played for Bob McDougall there for a season. And I said to the plan was, I'm going there for 1 year, and I'm not going to burn 2 years of eligibility at a junior college. Nothing against a junior college, but I already burned a year with Illinois State. So my time was limited, So I ended up going to Joliet Junior College with the mindset that it's work. I'm here. I'm going to play this game for these guys. We're going to do what we can, but I got to graduate, So I graduated with an associate's degree, basically with 1 year. I did 57 credit hours in 1 year.
Oh, man.
That's
boss.
Right. So I went in there. I did I want to say it was 7 or 8 in the summer.
Yeah.
And then I did 24 or 21 in the fall, and 24 in the spring, and then another 8 or so, something like that. But it was 57 credit hours to graduate, because then if I didn't graduate, I would have had to spend eligibility at a junior college. And my eye was, I'm going to the National Football League. That's what I wanted to do.
Nice.
That was, since I was a little kid, that was the motivation. I watched these gladiators on TV beat the shit out of each other every Sunday, Monday night. And I'm like, man, dude, and they get paid on top of that.
Yeah.
I'm like, sign me up, dude. Where do I go and knock somebody in the face? You know what I mean? So I ended up, graduating with an associate's degree there from Leauge Junior College. And then I had the pick of the litter. I had schools coming from all over the country, and so I ended up signing with Tennessee State University, which is a school down in Nashville, historical black college.
Mm-hmm.
Great people, awesome people. Loved it. Loved my time there. It just, when I got down there, I got robbed at gunpoint.
Oh, man.
I was held up outside of Circle K in Nashville, and I just said, what the hell?
What is going on here?
I told the guy, he stuck a gun in my face, and he said, listen, man, give me your money. And I said, dude, I'm a poor college kid, dude. I have nothing. I had a $100 bill tucked behind my driver's license. I had $3 in my wallet. And I said, here's my money. I opened up my wallet, and he took it, jumped in that car. I turned around. I was calling home. I was on a collect call. Thank God it didn't go through, because could you imagine my mom hearing that on the other end?
Right.
And I jumped in my 85 hoopty, my 85 and I drove 8 hours back home. Said, no, I'm not dealing with this. I'm not dealing with this stuff.
Man.
So they were Tennessee State was very good to me. They released me for my national letter of intent. Coach Reese down there is a stand-up guy. Coach Symington was the offensive line coach. I love those guys down there. I got along with. I'm still friends with them. Still friends with a lot of the players down there. But it was just one of these things where I was a kid, and I'm like, I don't know. You sign for whatever reason. It was a good fit, and it just didn't work out. And you maintain these relationships. So I ended up going back home, and I made a phone call to Tim McGuire at Indiana State University. They were one of another original school that came in when I was in high school. And they used to camp outside the house. Do you remember that, DC? When the coaches, one would wait, and then the other one would come in, and they'd say, "Okay, we're here to talk." And then, you got 50 minutes, coach. You got somebody else coming up behind you. And they were one of those those schools that came in, and Coach McGuire recruited me. And he said, I called him on the phone. I told him what was going on. He says, "You got a home at Indiana State if you wanted it." And I said, absolutely. I drove down there that night, and we signed with them. And, I ended up redshirting my freshman year because of the national letter of intent rules. Mm-hmm. So I redshirted that year at Indiana State, which I had to burn. I had a redshirt to burn because I had the true freshman at Illinois State, and then the 1 year at Leauge Junior College, and then a redshirt. And then my goal was basically just to, I was Rudy, man. I was Rudy on that scout team. I beat the shit out of those guys every day. You know what I mean? Like, some of those guys, they were like, what the hell's your problem? I said, but you know what, man? I'm making you better, right? You're making me better. We're all making each other better. And that was the goal, was to get there and get better. And that's, I ended up graduating from Indiana State with a degree in criminology. And, I love my time down there. I still keep in touch with a lot of the people down there. They're fantastic university, and just great people to be around.
That's awesome. I want to actually circle back to something you said there early on that I find very interesting. You said that you need to be a part of a team and a group of people doing something. I'm of the mindset. So my background is, I'm a musician, and when I was younger, I played a little bit of football, but nothing like you guys. And I've always enjoyed the aspect of whether it's a band or a group of, just a team. And I think that today you have so many different, not to sound like, back in my day, but you have a lot of different distractions now than you might have had before. And a lot of these things are so tempting. And we were joking about all the technology issues we were having earlier. Some of these things are so tempting and glamorous that it draws you in away from being in a team environment. And I'm curious as to what your thoughts are on, obviously as a police officer, that's a team environment, not only from the men and women you serve with, but also the community that you serving. It's a team in that regard. Football, obviously, and you've bounced around from several different environments where you had to operate in a team. And do you think, what my question is, do you think that's something that people should focus more on, putting themselves in as part of something bigger than themselves and a greater goal? And if so, how do you think that affects things like policing and football and just life in general, being with a team?
Well, that's a great question. You look at it like this. we're human beings. And I think, number one, the thing that we thrive for is inclusion. We want to be a part of a group. I mean, yeah, there's people like my brother who's like a hermit. You know what I mean? Like, I joke about it all the time with him. But we want to be a part of the pack. We want to be together. We're social creatures. And it's funny. You kind of just talking about within law enforcement and being a part of a team in law enforcement. You hit the nail on the head with that, because you know what? A lot of people think it's the police versus everybody else, but you know what? It's the community, right? That's how I look at it. It's me and my neighbors, and me protecting my neighbors, and my neighbors protecting me. I've got a story, not to talk your guys' ears off about it, but I was working I was in patrol my rookie year, and I was out on some, desolate road, and I saw this little kid walking down the street, and then I saw a guy jump out of the woods, the wooded tree line, and snatch this kid up and run back into the woods. And I slammed on the brakes. I put the car in park, and I thought to myself, I go, well, hell, where am I going to stick this award? Because I just caught me a kidnapper. You know what I mean? Like, this was the truth, And so I run in after this, and I grabbed the kid, and now I'm fighting with this guy, and this is a road that nobody's ever on. Okay. And I'm out there on this road, and I'm fighting with this guy, and the house is down the street a little bit, and here comes two more guys running out of the house to jump on me. Long story short, they were all related, but the little kid was from another state, right? And so he didn't know who this person was. And when he said that, I don't know you, leave me alone. Like, I just instantly thought, man, this is a bad guy taking a kid, And so as I'm fighting with these three guys on the side of the road, there's a ton of cars coming now, you know what I mean? And people are stopped, and they're looking, and this one guy gets on he rolls his window down. He goes, deputy, because we're sheriff's deputy. I'm a sheriff's deputy. He goes, deputy. He's like, do you need help? Do you want me to call 911? And I said, screw 911, man. I am 911. Come help me. You know what I mean? Like, he was on his phone. And so he's like, screw this, and he takes off, and I'm like, oh, thanks, dude. But then other people come over and they help me, Right. So they help. They help me out.
I'm out. What?
Right. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Those people didn't have to help me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Those people didn't have to be there for me. That type of thing. So, but yeah, it was one of these really cool situations where the community came together, and that's just how it is. I think that everybody, and to go back and not to be long-winded on it, we circle around, and it's a community. We need to be together, and if the old adage, right? Divide and conquer. If we're divided, we're not going to succeed. So we need to stick together to accomplish the goal.
And that's absolutely universal when it comes to the themes that we like to talk about here on the Everyman Podcast, which is, individuals that are doing the hard work for a greater purpose other than themselves, and whether that's building bridges to new people in your community, or physically getting involved and helping when it's needed. That's really awesome, and that's absolutely what the Everyman is all about. So thank you for sharing that.
Let me jump in there real quick, Brother Jay. So Matt, now you were talking about, and we'll swing back real quick about the stuff from high school. So you were asking, like, it's got this big ass dude over here with a smile on his face, just going nuts every play. The number one reason why I always had a smile on my face is exactly for what you're talking about right now. It's about team, man. Yeah. That's the one thing. You talk about inclusion from high school to college to the workforce at NFL Films, where I am now. Right now with the podcast, you talk about it, Matt. You want to be included. You want to surround yourself with like-minded people, and you want to enjoy what you're doing. Football was the first thing I ever engaged in where I felt like, I could just be my fucking self, and everybody was like-minded, man. You know what I mean? Win, lose, or draw, the people you play against, the people that you play with, it didn't matter, because we're all out here on the field doing the same doggone thing, just loving life and just enjoying it. You know what I mean? And being able to put our fruits into our labor and have it benefit us now down the line. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I think that's the number one reason why I smile when I do everything. Why when I'm even at the officiating academy, you know what I mean? We're out there watching you run around and you know, officiate and do that stuff, man. Like, dude, it was awesome. Like, it's not just being engaged in it; it's being proud of the people that I played against when I was in high school. Find them later down the line and knowing that they're doing well. And my boy is freaking acting right now, dude. You know what I mean? How freaking cosmic and awesome is that? Like, I'm proud of you, bro. Like that's Thanks. It's just for me. That's why I thank God I still have the smile now, like I did back then, because it's just like you say, it's all about team, man. All about team.
Yeah, for sure, absolutely.
And we talk about this thing called the cosmic canoe that we believe in here at the Everyman Podcast, and it's that Daryl and I are on this journey together, and we're discovering, you know, what it is that makes people, you know, like yourself, successful when they're able to have adversity, when things are going perfect for them, you know, when they're not going perfect for them, when they go down, how do they get back up? Like, that's really what it's all about. And in the cosmic canoe, we're going forward, and every time we put that paddle in the water, we're bringing more with us. And when we have you on, and it's like, you know, you and Daryl haven't seen each other in a long time, and then you guys bump into each other at the officiating camp, and you're off on this new career, you know, doing in law enforcement and as an official in college, which we're going to get to here in a second. It's just to me, it just goes to show, you know, that it's a small world and an even smaller pool of people like us that are, you know, like-minded, positive, hardworking, you know, and people that have a light. And I can tell from just talking to you for a few minutes that you have that light in you, and I can guarantee that, you know, when you're on the job, that you're sharing that with people too. So
damn right he is.
It's just all very cool. And so with that being said, I want to talk a little bit about your work as a line judge. So explain to people, what is a line judge?
All right, so I don't know if you're going to have officials watching this, but I hope they do, because I'm gonna lay it down, because I think the line of scrimmage officials are the hardest working guys on the field. Okay,
nice.
And some of these guys are going to be like, "Oh God, here we go," you know. But no, seriously, like I everything I do, everything that I join, everything that I'm a part of is a group, you know, because I love football. Football is provided so much for me. It's given me a life. You know, I look around indirectly, you know, I got a beautiful wife and 3 beautiful children and a beautiful home and a great job, a great career. And the thing is, you know, for some people, and I'll go back to what a line judge or head linesman is, you know, but I just want to touch on this, you know, everywhere I look in my life, football is a part of it, you know, and it was one of these things where, you know, if anybody's taken a civil service exam in the Chicagoland area or in you know, major metropolitan New York or LA, you know, like thousands of people show up for one job. You know what I mean? And it's like, when you fill out a resume, what are you going to put on this resume that's going to separate yourself? And, you know, I was lucky enough to put, you know, a former player in the National Football League on the resume, you know, and that I can't tell you 100%, but I know that separated my resumes from other people's resumes, you know, that type of thing. But yeah, so football, just when I was playing, and you know, everybody gets that. I tell that aha moment when everybody says, you know, when coach says, grab your playbook, you know, you're done, you know, and it's, what are you going to do with your life? You know, I grew up in a locker room. My coaches were my father figures. You know, I lost my dad when I was 13 years old. He never saw me play a down football, you know, and so I played the game with some anger, you know, because of that. I saw, you know, after games were over, kids would come out and they would hug their mother and father, and I'd go to my car and drive home. You know, guys would go out after games and, you know, have a party. I'd go home and, hey, you know, this is my vehicle. Football's my vehicle. It's got to get me somewhere, you know, that type of thing. So when I was told I was done playing football, it was hard. You know, some guys take it hard. Some guys take it, you know, for what it's worth. And I went to a Bears game, you know, and I'm sitting out there and I'm like, what am I going to do? You know, should I get back in the gym? Should I try, I went to the Arena League for a little bit, and that's a different story. You know, 100 miles an hour into a brick wall didn't seem like it was too much fun to me, you know. So it's like, what are you going to do? And I'm out there and I saw this guy walk by and he's got stripes on and he's got gray hair. And I says, holy shit, that's the guy I want to be. You know what I mean? He found a way to stay in this game when he's old, So I went and joined a local association and did that type of stuff. And that's the key. Get involved with your local association doing high school. And in my background, I was very lucky and blessed that I played football at such a high level that it opened up a lot of doors for me quicker than other people. Not saying that I'm better than them, but it opened up doors, and I took advantage of that because I looked at it this way: if I don't take advantage of this, then the guy that never got the chance, I'm letting him down because I gotta do something. I gotta take everything I got and go all the way because the guy that never got that chance, and I'm doing it for him. I'm doing it for these guys because this avocation, they call it an avocation, and I'm big on calling it, it's a career. Officiating is a career, and I love it so much that I get more excitement out of giving back to these guys and helping out and helping that guy get started or bringing people in, and because officials are the keepers of the game. And, without them, a referee told me one time, without officials, it's only recess. And that's true. It's not an organized game. So it's just a bunch of kids out there running into each other, and that's it. But anyways, as far as my position as head linesman, I just completed my 4th year in Division I. I work in the Missouri Valley Conference, and I'm part of this consortium of college officials consortium, the COC, which is comprises of the Big Ten, Missouri Valley, and MAC conferences. And like I said, I finished my 4th year in the Missouri Valley, going into my 5th year, hoping for some big things this year, and hopefully that our crew, our guys do real well. I mean, across the board, pretty solid guys, But anyways, as far as positions, I'm responsible for everything on the line of scrimmage, and I'm in charge of, for a half, I'm in charge of the chains, and going into officiating as a player, I thought that I was, I knew the game. I'm like, oh yeah, sure, I know this game, and then you go to your first rules meeting, and you're like, oh my god, I have no clue what the hell I'm doing here. You know what I mean, right? And so that's a humbling experience. And I think that's what keeps people coming back to this officiating because every time you turn around and you try, you think you know something and you miss it. We're human.
Well, there's a lot of nuance. There's a lot of nuance in the game in general, and especially I would assume officiating on the line because one guy's interpretation of a hold might be slightly different than the next guy's, and people with experience, I guess, like you're saying, the speed of the game, like you're gonna start catching things, but it's just like playing. Like I would imagine you got to have the reps, right? So the more you see it, the more you're in it, the better you get at it.
Absolutely, and we do practices. We go down to I try to get up to Camp Randall and do some practices up there. I go down to U of I and do some practices, go to Notre Dame. And, we show up at these things and, some of the coaches, they think that we're just there just to be there, but, we're taking reps. We got to see this stuff live, because we don't have a preseason game. Our first game of the year is ready to go and people's careers depend on it. A coach loses so many games in a year and he's replaced, and we want to go out there and give the very best that we can. Every official I've ever come across, takes a mistake that they make so hard that the regular Joe has no clue how hard they take it. We're our biggest critic and we go after ourselves so bad, because we just want to be successful. We want the game to be successful. I mean, believe it or not, when the game is over, if the people say, were there officials out there? That's the best thing in the world. It's not about the Matt Griebel show when I go do football games. You know what I mean? It's about, calling the game and making it a fair playing field for both teams so that the best team wins. And that's what we try to accomplish.
I think that's something that people, we got a lot of football fans that listen to the show, obviously. And I think that's something that, as a fan myself, and I've gotten to look behind the curtain a lot here. It's something I like to hear because I think people have a idea about referees that you guys are like the stormtroopers of the commission sometimes, and that you're just kind of there to shit on the party. And hearing it from you because I know how passionate you are about the game. That is really refreshing. When I'm watching the game, I always see players kind of getting chippy with the refs and the officials on the field. How much of that goes on, and how deep is the shit talking? As much as you can say. I don't want you to break that brotherhood, but is it as much of that going on as it seems like on TV?
Yeah, so it's kind of unique, when I show up at games or practices or something. I mean, people are like, because I was a pretty intense player, and I had my fair share of penalties, the flags thrown on me, and so when they find out and they see that I'm in stripes, it almost blows their mind. They're like, oh my God, you're a referee? I'm like, you hated those guys. And I said, you know what? I didn't hate them. I just, I didn't like when they caught me for holding, you know what I mean? And for the record, I held a lot because those guys were good. You know what I mean? You had a hold. So, but yeah, it's the interactions is the back, right? So I started as an umpire in the middle of the field, right, which would be in the defensive backfield by the linebackers. Okay, the old NFL used to have it there. Now they moved them in the offensive backfield, right? So I was an umpire in the middle of the field for the first 2 years, doing Division III and NAIA games. And I loved it, because I was an interior lineman and I knew what these guys were about to do before they did it. And I'm like, yeah, you better watch yourself. I got you, And so you develop these relationships with the players inside in the trenches, you know what I mean? Because when they find out your playing background, you instantly have credibility, and they don't give you as much, shit, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so then I moved when I got hired in the Missouri Valley. They said, "Congratulations, you're hired. You're working the line of scrimmage." And I never worked the line of scrimmage in my life, And I'm like, "Oh man, what am I going to do?" So I went like any person, I busted my hump. I signed up for as many semi-pro games and as many practices to work line of scrimmage and deal with the coaches and players, and because that first game, my first game was Illinois State and Morgan State, at the line of scrimmage position. And those are two pretty good programs, I mean, Illinois State goes on to win goes to a national championship that year. And, so it was pretty decent football. And I don't want to look foolish, and I don't want that aha moment that I spoke of earlier where they say, "Hey, Griebel, grab your rule book." You're done, you know what I mean? Right. But yeah, I mean, what I love the most so I move out to the line of scrimmage and I'm working the sidelines, the interaction with the coaches, right? That's it. We've got some really great coaches, and there's some excited coaches that we deal with, And I love them, right? I love them all.
I'm sure you love them all the same.
Yeah, it's just I love the interaction because they do their homework. They know who we are. They know what we're about. They know what our tendencies are. They know everything about us, and so when they find out that I was a former player, they get it, and I give them some leeway because I come from that locker room mentality that, Coach, you can say what, pretty much whatever you want to me. You're not going to hurt my feelings because I've been probably told worse, so let it go. Go ahead and vent what you got to vent. We'll move on. I'm here to work with you and try to give you the best I can. And, that's what I'm going to do. I look them square in the eye during the pregame and say, Coach, I'm here to give you my very best. That's what I promise you I will do today. And they're just happy with that. They're thrilled with that. But the interaction with the guys on the sideline is what keeps me coming back.
That's that Everyman style, man. I love it.
Nice.
I love it. So now, what would you like more so towards fans that are watching the pro game? What would you like those fans to understand or to know or maybe appreciate about what it takes to officiate a game at that level? Talking about the NFL, what would you like those fans to know?
Well, I think the major networks are doing a really good job of trying to educate the announcers, and I see that coming across. They're starting to throw officials in the booth and to educate the fans. I think that's awesome, because the thing is, the fans and the announcers of games, at one time were kind of like the same. They're watching this, and their interpretation of a rule or their idea of what it should be is what I thought it should be when I was a player. And then when I got into the rule book, I was like, wow, I was wrong. It's not like that, I like the fact that the fans are becoming more educated, and it makes it for a better understanding of the game, and it makes it I get a kick out of it when there's an obscure rule that is something happens in the game. And they say this, will never happen, and sure enough, it's going to happen in your first game. And then it happens, and the officials nail it,
like a drop kick,
right? Like exactly. It's in the book, but it's in the book, as far as the rule. However, you never see it. So, but when an official nails a call, I'm sitting at home and I'm like an official groupie. I love it when these guys when they nail the call, and I feel so bad for them when they bone a call, because we've all been there, and they don't want to do that. They want to get it right every time, and just the way the numbers of the game, you're not going to be right every time, and that's why people keep coming back, and it's such a humbling experience being an official that you're not going to get that perfect game. I want to get that perfect game. That's my goal, to get that perfect game, but it's just unattainable. It's not going to happen, But as far as educating the fans, that's awesome. I love that, and I love when the officials become they're approachable. Like I've been lucky enough to jump in with the NFL's been really great about helping out with the former player program, and I'm a part of this former player program, and I credit the NFL for getting me hired into the Missouri Valley Conference. I went to a couple of their clinics. They had me in there. They took care of me. They showed me the ropes, and they hired me. And here I am working for Mr. Carollo, and who's a former white hat referee in the National Football League. I did a couple of Super Bowls, and I worked for him. And without the NFL and without that former player program, I wouldn't have moved or progressed as quickly as possible. But with the program, interjecting me or like basically bringing me into like training camps with some of the full-time NFL officials, just to see how those officials interact with the fans is amazing. They're very approachable. They explain things. People ask questions, and they're so quick to give them an answer. And I just think it just shows how much professionalism they have, these NFL officials, and it's a direct result of what they have at the top. Their leadership is picking the right guys and putting them in the right position. And when stuff happens in a game and it's not good, you feel bad for it, but they're going to get it right. They're going to get it right. I think there's a statistic out there that they're like 98% correct on every, on average, and that's pretty damn good. When I was a player, I wasn't 98%.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
I know.
That is impressive. 98% for sure. So last couple of questions here as we wind down. I wanted to know if you've ever had any, I don't want to say issues, but have you ever had any overzealous fans that reacted to your role on the field as an official or anything like that? Anything you've had to deal with?
No, I mean, you get the, you don't want to have rabbit ears, you don't want to listen to the stuff that's going on on the sidelines, or you don't want to hear anything that's going on in the stands. I do, we got a pretty good powerhouse up in North Dakota, up in Fargo, with North Dakota State University. I think they've won 6 of the last 7 national championships at the FCS level. And I remember, my first game up there, I think they've sold out for the last 20 years, their dome up there, and it's like 20,000 people. It's a small little dome, but it's awesome. It's a great environment to call a football game. And they were playing their rival, South Dakota, and there was a fumble, and I had given it to South Dakota. It was the right call. I pumped it the other way because the kid clearly fumbled the ball, and South Dakota recovered it, and it was their ball. And, we have replay, so everything goes to replay. But when I pumped it South Dakota's direction, I had 20,000 people in the stands just boo me all collectively, and I was like, this is awesome.
I bet that gave you a smile. Did you smile when that happened?
Yeah, well, you try not to because you're on TV, you know what I mean? So it's like, I'm just like, this is the bug. I got it. I love this stuff. I can't get enough of it, and then it goes to replay, and then you got that moment where you're like Pucker Central, you're like, oh man, I hope it's confirmed. And then it came back and it was confirmed, and I'm thinking, do I fist pump here or do I kind of just let it go? No, I'm gonna let it go because I'm a professional. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, well, I know I know from my playing experience, when I come from a largely metal background, and there's two different feelings. Because when I was doing hired gun gigs as a drummer, making people dance and making people smile is one feeling, but when you make a room full of people run in a fucking circle and smash into each other at full speed, and they're fucking furious, that is like 100 times better to me. I can't speak for everybody, but like eliciting that kind of response out of that many people is fantastic. So I could only imagine, like, especially because now I'm speaking for myself here, I can only imagine kind of like poking the finger at the team, at the home team, saying like, oh, well, you're wrong, I'm right. I enjoy that kind of shit. So I would think that would be a very satisfying feeling.
Yeah, it's about being fair and impartial.
Of course.
And we try to maintain. I that's my number one thing is I'm going to call the game as I see it. I could care less which team wins. That's how it goes. And every official I've ever come across is the same way. We as football officials are a team. We work as a group, as a unit, and it's unique to other sports. I know baseball, they've got crews. In basketball, I think it's more individual. They put crews together, but I'm in and out 12 weeks out of the year with my same guys doing our thing, and just we're a family, and one guy has a mistake, and we rally around and we pick each other up, and that's something that we do, and I love that. I just, that motivates me and drives me to be that crew guy to save our crew in case something happens. I want to be the guy that they lean on, and that's like that in life,
Absolutely.
In law enforcement's the same way, that's how I approach everything.
Last question here. I wanted to give you an opportunity to tell us a little bit about your new acting career. So one of the other tenets of the Everyman lifestyle is a man or woman, who is wearing many hats, doing many things all the time. So how did you get into acting? And tell us just briefly about your appearance in the short film When Two Wrongs, and where people can see that.
Gotcha. Yeah. So I was when I was up in investigation, I was a detective for a few years. We have a rotation deal, so you go into investigations and you work and that type of thing. And I partnered up with a guy that looked like Andy Sipowicz from NYPD.
Yes, of course.
Right. And so he was doing some background stuff, and Chicago's a big hub for a lot of the TV shows. You got the Chicago, police, PD, and Chicago Fire, and all this other stuff. So we ended up reaching out to a like a talent agency, and they were looking for background people. And so I jumped on Chicago PD. I've been doing it for about 3-4 years now, just doing background stuff. And I've had some, like where they would ask me to come in and work, like some good camera time where I'm in front of the camera, not saying anything, because then they'd have to pay me more because of the unions and stuff, right? But just looking pretty, getting paid for my looks, right?
There you go.
Right.
And our listeners can't hear how good looking you are, but everyone, trust me, he's a handsome man.
Put that jawline on there, man.
Right. Look at that, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Have another burger, right? Yeah.
Carved from granite.
Right. So we I'll give them the link, they can take a look at the trailer if they want to. But anyway, so I'm on the set, and I came across an old friend, CJ Phillips, who was a director, producer, and he was working some stuff, there. And he had, asked me if I would do a screen test and, or come over and run some lines and see if I were interested in doing a short film that he was making, that he was producing about child trafficking. And being in law enforcement, it was like something that was right up my alley. And I thought, yeah, absolutely, I would totally do this, And so we ended up, doing a screen test, and we ended up doing the lines, and he liked what he saw. I don't know why, but he liked it. And next thing you know, we're on set, and we finished. It's a short film. I did 56 hours on set of shooting and people, like as far as entertainment, the entertainment business. I I take my hat off to those guys, because you do 56 hours. You think you're going to have like an hour and 20-minute movie. you got like 20 minutes.
Yeah, the magic is in the editing. Absolutely.
So I got hooked up with this. We did the shoot. Everything came out real well. We just actually had the premiere release on Tuesday. It's going to be submitted to some film festivals as a short film. It was more of like a PSA type of film, about trafficking and that type of thing. And it's called When Two Wrongs. and it's when2wrongs.com. There's a trailer out there that's on it. The trailer doesn't give you much. You know, it wasn't my call. It's not my project. You know, it's the director's. He owns it. He produced it. He wrote it, and he wants to, you know, get people to talk about it, but he doesn't want to really give much of it. You know, so I get what he's doing. But yeah, had a blast doing it, and hopefully it creates some talk and catches on, and people start to look at it, and hopefully, you know, you never know, it could open up opportunities, or I could just go back to background work, you know. But either way, I still got a schedule for the fall, and I'm going to be doing football games, so I'm loving life.
That's
Nice.
great. Well, either way, whether you're catching him in the film world or you're going to see him on ESPN crushing shit up in North Dakota with their, I'm sure that'll be on television this year, hopefully. Matt, it's been awesome having you on the podcast. Thank you very much for joining us, and we will catch you down the line, my brother.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, guys. DC, good seeing you.
My
Justin, nice
man.
seeing you, buddy.
Take it easy, brother.
All right, brother.